Hello friends, and welcome back to another part of our colony that we are running. We call it Pain. It's really our ultra supreme max difficulty run. If you have not seen the rules before, or if you just want a refresher, we do this at the beginning of every video. Just talk about the restrictions that I'm under and the rules for this run, which is that I have to play on the hardest difficulty, on the hardest asteroid, on the hardest on the hardest seeds that we could find, with a bunch of other restrictions that are listed down here. The biggest one that we are thinking about right now is our power situation, because we are still and always going to be banned from using any of the power sources that were listed in that achievement. So I think we're probably overdue for another solar panel area expansion, so I'm going to work on that first. The other thing that I was talking about wanting to do is taking this metal volcano this video. I'm pretty sure that we need better cooling tools to deal with this. As much as I think that the ethanol is a novel concept, I just don't think it's that strong. So I am in a position where I just don't really think that that's going to be a viable cooling solution for the setup over there. I'll still use the ethanol that we produce in order to... Oh, I need to open this up. I was like, why is this not draining more? So I still will use the ethanol we produce, and I do think it is still good because we are still kind of low on water in general. So if we need a liquid for cooling, I'd rather just use the ethanol since it's basically free outside of just using the lumber that grows. But we have plenty of that, so I'm not too worried about it. So yeah, I think that's going to be the plan, but I think we need to use our typical aqua tuner steam turbine setup, which means we also need to get plastic first. I'm going to search the rest of the map in this video as well and see if we can find any Dreckos. If we can, we'll get started on that because I want to do that just because I haven't really ran a base on any of these videos before that is only Dreckos for plastic, and I think we're going to do that. I could just start producing plastic with the oil and stuff that we have right now, but if I can do it without that, and especially because our power situation isn't the greatest, I'd rather do it with Dreckos, so I'm going to search the map and see what we can find. So I'll kind of dig down to every corner here really quickly, which is not too exciting, and see how far we can get. Again, we're really working towards getting off this asteroid, and I think that we need a metal volcano before we do that. But we need cooling and stuff like that first, so a little bit of a holding pattern. But our end goal is that volcano. We're not going to be using the teleporter until we actually land on the other asteroid. There we go, this is a lot better. I'll close this up now. So yeah, I'll be expanding our solar panels first so that we have the power to push the different things that we need. I'll be exploring the map quite a bit to see if we can find any Dreckos, and if not, we'll make a couple rounds of plastic just so that we can take this metal volcano. We will also need steel, by the way, which we haven't started, so I'll need to add a couple of buildings here to start making steel so that we can create the buildings that we need for the aqua tuner. So yeah, I guess verdict rendered on this. If you are desperate for cooling and if you need a solution, sure, this works. It's just really not very efficient. The steam turbine aqua tuner combo is way better in terms of performance, so I'm convinced that we're going to need that, and we might as well do it now, but yeah, we just need to get those steps up first. So I'll start searching around. Oh, let's see what this is, by the way. We haven't revealed this yet. I'll have duplicants run down here and take care of this. I actually might just start digging downward here as well. My duplicants might get burned in these areas because it is a little bit hot, but I don't know. I can always manage them if they do get burned and just kind of move them around, so that should be fine. Okay. Yeah, I'll start doing all this stuff. Abe, are you going to stay here long enough to show us what this is, or no? Or are you just going to run away, which happens way too frequently? Yep, okay. It looks like this is a vent. It's a regular steam vent, which, yeah, that's another thing that we could definitely take advantage of once we have plastic, so even more dependent on it. But for right now, we can't do much with it. We'll deal with that when the time comes. Another cool steam vent down here, by the way. So yeah, we'll get out on the map, we'll see what we can find, and we'll expand our solar panels and go from there. Okay, update on our solar panel expansion. We've got this whole area ready to go. All we need to do is get rid of all these walls and doors that are in the way, and the Shine bugs should be free to go over here and start powering these panels as well. I don't know how big of a boost this is going to give us right away, but the biggest reason to do this is just to give more room for them to grow. And we are getting more and more of these over time. What is with this number? It like jumps from 404 to something else, so I don't know what the deal is with that. But yes, we have a lot of them in here already. I've also set up some shipping systems just to get the eggs out of this room. Why is there a Cuddle Pip egg in here? Oh, you probably dropped it in. Get out of here. So we're just going to be shipping out any of the eggs from this room, so I don't have to manage them manually, which I'm sure that I've been missing a lot of cycles on these, where these critters have been cramped because there's too many eggs in there. So they're being automatically shipped into this room now. Here we go. Now we've got it open. These are starting to charge up, so there we go. Yeah, a little bit of a simple expansion here. I also shifted our suits over just a little bit so that it is a little bit further in and we're not wasting as much space here. A bunch of empty space was sitting there before, so I fixed that up. Also put some doors just to kind of encourage them to be over to the right a little bit more. They will drift over here a little bit, but it's not a big deal. But the biggest thing also is, like, now this Radbull generator is really not in a great position at all. You can see this is so noisy. This is the most noisy Geiger counter I've ever seen in this game. What we're going to need to do is change where this Radbull generator is. So I've created some doors over here that you can't see, of course, because that's just how this works. Look, they're right there. It's so clear and obvious. There is a door right here that you can't see. So what I'm going to do is destroy these really quickly and just drop our Radbolt generator in a little bit further. So there we go. You can kind of see the outline a little bit, and then we'll just kind of bounce it down and over here, and I'll run the automation up there and stuff too. So yeah, just gonna hook it up like that. And they'll come by and destroy this in just a bit. Should be able to climb up there. Probably not the greatest to not have them in lead suits right here, but it should be quick before they get in there. I could also just allow them through this door and not destroy this stuff yet until it's all built, which is probably a better idea. Actually, you know what I could do? I could just not destroy that one so that they can't get in here, but you can still build through pneumatic doors. I'll just let them through there for now. So, yeah, we'll just get the rest of that all built out, and we'll get a little bit better Radbolt reflection going on. It's so noisy. So, yeah, we'll get that up. Let's see, the other thing that we need to look at is we're ready to reveal another geyser. It's right here, so hopefully I can get a duplicate down here in a reasonable amount of time. And in the meantime, I will show you our updates on digging around the map looking for Dreckos. So I'm starting to see little bits of the biomes that the Dreckos are typically in. So here's some right here. There's some down here as well. Also a huge pocket of iron. That's really helpful because we're going to need steel also. So there's got to be a Drecko around here somewhere. It's got to be in one of these few biomes. There's another part of one as well. Oh, and a saltwater geyser. Should probably get that walled off. Oh, hey! This is a second cool slush geyser. Wow. We looked for bad seeds, and with the traits that we have, this is a bad seed. But in terms of geysers that we got, we have gotten really fortunate on the ones that we have gotten here so far. So I'm going to hook this up as soon as possible. There's also another something right here that I'm going to dig up. Let's see what that is. Can't really do a whole lot with these cool steam vents right now, at least not with the cooling potential that I have. There's also some natural gas here, so there's probably a natural gas geyser sitting around. Probably somewhere in here. Wow, lots of different geysers here. By the way, the natural gas we can't use for power, but I will use for cooking, so we're probably going to get into some interesting recipes at some point, just to get a little bit better efficiency with that, and also to keep our morale up. So my duplicates still have to stay kind of low because of all the things that I need them to do, but can't really keep up things like decor or anything like that very easily, so yeah. At least it's not really worthwhile. Okay, now we've got that, so I guess we don't really need to get rid of that door, because the thing can still fly through it, so yeah, we'll change our directions. There we go. And is this hooked up to automation? Yep. So now that it is, I think we should be good to get this all connected once we start the research. So yeah, we've got that. Let's try to find our Drecko. Let me start getting our cool slush geyser hooked up here. I'll get this walled off as well. And yeah, we'll just kind of keep going from there. I'll probably come back when we're ready to reveal this so we can see what it is. So, yeah, making lots of progress and getting very fortunate with the geysers that we have. So, yeah, I guess all things considered, things are going pretty well. Look what I found. Our search for Dreckos has turned up some good results. So we did find one, and that, as we know, is enough to start an entire colony. So that'll be my focus now, at least in terms of, well, one of my focuses now. We're going to go get this, and we will start needing to build a terrarium, which we'll do in just a minute. But I want to see what this geyser is, so that we can start seeing if it matters for what this is as well. Just kind of dig in there, see what it is. If it's a vent, we'll get to it. If not, then... Well, I mean, if it's not a vent, we'll see it earlier than that. But, yeah. Okay. Let's start talking about getting this terrarium up. I think I'm going to build it right here. So started kind of carving out the space that it's going to be. And for Dreckos, we really want the plastic production out of them more than anything. So I think I'm just going to take this area that used to be a pip ranch and turn it into a Drecko ranching area. Complete with enough setups to be able to shear Dreckos pretty much constantly. And that'll be both for the plastic and for the reed fibers. So we'll kind of build this out here. I think what we're going to need to do is have a few spots for suits. Then we're going to need our spot for the water lock, because I'm going to put hydrogen in here so that the Dreckos are constantly regrowing their scales, I think is what they're called. Yeah, I don't know, something like that. So we'll do that, and we will build a water lock here. There we go, something like that. Once this all goes away, that'll make more sense. Should have enough spaces for suits. I'll probably leave like 4 spaces or so. Oh no, that's way too small. What am I doing? Right? No, there's a bunch of stuff in the way. Maybe that was right. Yeah, that was right. Jeez. Okay, I do need to cancel one of these builds so that I can build that. No, that should be fine. Okay, and then we're just going to need to get in here and start planning out how we're going to set this ranch up. We will need a tile here, and... Oh, could have just left that one there. Pretty good little freeze frame on Abe there. Who doesn't have his hat on? What are you doing, Abe? This water, I guess we could try to put it in here, but I don't really care that much, so I'm just going to deconstruct it. And we can send the water, I guess, from this area, because I don't really want to use our chilled water for this water lock. We could use ethanol, but that's going to be pretty hot, so I guess I might as well use this instead. So we'll set up a pump and just kind of run it up here. By the way, I'm getting a lot of comments recently that I'm trying to abide by a bit here, which is to show the builds being done rather than just to say this was the result of it. So it's kind of what I'm trying to do with this little section here. So just going to drop in a water lock there. It'll make a mess with all the water that we dropped out, but oh well. And then for the suits that we have, we might need to make a few more. I did get rid of this because we're eventually going to connect all this stuff together so that we can ship stuff basically up this column, since I got rid of this one, since it was in the way of the solar panel area. So yeah, we'll get to this guy. What is this geyser? It still hasn't been done yet. Let's actually increase this in priority. There we go. All right. So now when we get in here, we need a couple of different areas, and we're going to need hydrogen in here as well. So I think this top area I'm going to use as a, like, dumping ground for all the extra Dreckos that I just want to sit in there and shear, and they will eventually die off, and I'll just ignore them. So I'll be getting meat from them. I'll be getting their scale shearing. We'll be getting a lot of stuff like that. By the way, this turned into way more work than it needed to. I probably should have just, like, funneled this in here somehow. But, oh well. We already made our bed. Time to, unmake it. I don't know what I'm talking about. Alright, so the suits that we need, we just need an Atmosuit checkpoint here, which we'll disable. And I guess 4 suits is fine. Probably just make 1 more since we need to reuse the ones that we had before. I think we only have 3 that we've ever made. Now for right here, I'm probably just going to have a ladder go down into like the main Drecko chamber area. And this side I'm probably going to reserve for like the grooming area. I'm also going to want to set this up in a way that we have hydrogen up here at the top, because that's where we're going to be keeping all of our Dreckos, and hydrogen rises to the top. Well, at least all the extra Dreckos. And this will also make it so, like, if we have a spot for the other Dreckos to come up here, they can regrow their scales by climbing up here, which is not the biggest of deals for the ones that you're actually ranching, but it can help a little bit, so figured why not. You can also finally get rid of this awkward spot right here and replace it with something a little bit more effective. And we'll see what kind of space we have for this terrarium, because I want to get this all the way over. I marked this spot with the ladder because I want to start building our like columns down for another ladder area. But this base has been so awkward compared to like the walkthrough bases that I've done, only because we've had to play in such a like scrappy way. So now that we've got that, let's get our area for all the Dreckos that are going to be held. So we'll kind of put a pneumatic door here, and this whole room we can just fill up with a bunch of shearing stations. So these are, I think, 3 tiles tall, if I'm remembering right. Do I not have this? No, I think it's probably in stations. It's called a shearing station. I wonder where it is. Yeah, so we could probably fit 3, and then I think we will have, well, yeah, I need some stuff to be able to ship out of here. So I think we'll do 3. We'll do some stuff in between to help ship out, just because I do want to set this up next to my shipping area, which is why I'm kind of building it right here. So yeah, it's going to look something like this. Let me flesh a little bit more of this out, and then we'll keep building it here in just a minute. Okay, the area is all closed off, but a couple little problems here. One of which is this terrarium down here is too big for a stable, but we also need 1 more room. So I'm going to add another room over here on this side, which is going to be like our holding area that we use to hold Dreckos, just to make sure we can repopulate the main room, which is this one. This one we also might be able to scoot down a bit and get a little bit closer so that we can, for one, have more room up here, but also to use up more room on this bottom area to make sure we can get it up to, right up to 96 tiles. We can also delete a couple of ones, which will be a little bit weird, but we do need the area to actually groom them, so I'm going to do that here. So let's get the station for it, grooming station, there we go. And we need a drop-off, which we are going to use some critter sensors and stuff like that to make sure that we're always keeping enough Dreckos in this room. Yeah, we'll get there. So we need a critter drop-off for this room. There we go. How much smaller did this make this, by the way? 105. So yeah, this should be just about 96. We can also mess around with the placement of this door and move it over just a couple tiles if we need to. So for this room, we need a critter pickup, and we need to put this on some automation. We may as well also put a shearing station in here for any of the extras. And then we're going to need some shipping stuff. We need to ship stuff to this room only if it makes sense to drop eggs in here. Otherwise, I want them to all sit in this area and get ranched out. Actually, does it make sense to have these in separate rooms? Why does that matter? I kind of don't think it does. Let me cancel this, actually. Because we could just put some of this stuff over here. The question is, like, what we're going to be using in this area. I guess we could just make this room a little bit taller if we needed to, but I don't want to make it too tall. I still want to leave enough room to get Dreckos kind of crawling up in this area and getting their scales regrown. This is why this can be so awkward. Let's see. And I don't want to shorten it because I want this to be about this wide long term. But I don't have another great idea. Let's at least just get this moved down a little bit. We could also move this door more inward. Like, we could move it right here instead if we need to make this room a little bit smaller. So yeah, let's move this down. Let me get rid of these buildings, and then we can start thinking about what we need in this room. This room, I'm just going to have it be my shearing area and also the, like, I need more Dreckos type of room. So, like, if we're not at capacity down in this area, then we're just going to use this room to get more. Let me actually place a door here and see how many tiles that saves us. So this room, we're going to go ahead and drop in a shearing station. I think we can fit 4, and then we can put all of our shipping stuff at the top since we have extra tiles to work with now. So I'll kind of build out this room really quickly. And while my duplicates are working, I'll just kind of like keep things moving, I guess. So there we go. Goes in here like that. There. That ought to fit. Who's trapped? Oh, I didn't realize that was that tall. Get up there. Okay, so yeah, it'll look something like this. I'll place the shearing stations down. We're going to need one more empty space that's going to be for the critter pickup, I think is what they called it nowadays. And notice that the top of this is all, well, as I say that, notice that the top of this is going to be all sealed off because half of this is going to be hydrogen, and then the bottom half down here is going to be where we grow our mealwood, which is going to be what the Dreckos are eating, and also what will encourage them to produce the glossy Dreckos. So we're going to get those things done as well. Alright, let me flesh this out a little bit according to those plans, and we'll keep going. Okay, I think I got our spacing all figured out. So, bottom area, 96 tiles exactly. We're just going to keep hydrogen probably from, like, this area and up. So we're going to need a little bit of automation, but we need to actually have access to hydrogen first. There is a big pocket down here that I'll probably stick a pump in. So we'll start pumping it out from here. I'll need some water or something just to get like a liquid lock so it doesn't all get filtered out of there. Maybe I'll just like make a path around here and use this salt water for it or something. So yeah, we need to grab our Drecko, but we will get the rest of that all set up here in time. But this is kind of what the setup is going to look like. This room is just going to be filled with a whole bunch of Dreckos that I don't really care about that much in order to feed. So we'll just set something up that we have a bunch of hydrogen sitting up here. These will basically be the Dreckos that we shear, and then if they die, that's great. We will eat them afterwards. If we need more, we will just pull them from this critter pickup, which will just connect via a critter sensor. So basically, if the room down below doesn't have enough critters, then we will get more by way of activating this and pulling them down here. So there you go. Let's put our critter drop off in here, and then as soon as we capture that Drecko, we can get this. The last thing that we need is just some cooling, and eventually we will use Wheezeworts in here because we'll have so much phosphorite, we might as well take advantage of it and kind of stick them in here. For the time being, the only thing we really need to cool that much is going to be our farm tiles. So I need to just drain the rest of the water that's in here, and then we can extend our cooling loop up here. Just kind of run it through these tiles really quickly. So yeah, there you go. We'll check back on this a little bit later in the video. But the first step towards getting this volcano is now done, because we will be ranching Dreckos soon, and we will have access to plastic. Now we just need to make sure that we're getting enough steel, so there's more mining that I need to do to get that all done. Did we ever look at what this was? It's a cool steam vent. Okay. So I guess I could just probably build these two into a chamber together. I should have uncorked this already, actually. What's this? Regular water? Where'd that come from? Oh, it probably spilled out when we deleted that water, or those tiles earlier. Yeah, I think I'll just kind of build a big square in here, and we'll get a mixture of cool slush and cool steam, and we'll call that good. And we'll just have a big water pit area, and we'll decide what to do with it later. Probably just grow some more blossoms, considering that will be very cheap since we have a lot of water coming through. So yeah, that'll be the plan. We'll set up our cooling system here. We'll get that Drecko captured, and we'll keep going on our journey of capturing that volcano. Okay, friends, here is our final version. Oh, whoops, why am I doing that? Here's our final version of the Drecko chamber. Lots of moving parts here, which is why you kind of got to stage this into several pieces if you're making a video about it. But yeah, so what we have is the area down here is going to be for our mealwood, so we've got that planted. We've found 2 Dreckos so far, Here's a third egg that was apparently just shipping in a circle for no reason. And we just got a drop on a glossy Drecklet egg. So I need to ship that in as well. Which, there we go. So I could also accelerate this a little bit, which I'm thinking about doing with these incubators again. I know we've had such an adventure with these incubators. I think I'm going to hook a couple more up and just get these glossy Drecklet eggs out a little bit faster, just so we can get the plastic up as soon as possible. So yeah, now that they are eating the mealwood, they should be laying those. We're also getting some phosphorite up, so there's a lot of shipping going on here. The shipping out of this room is going to be everything except for those eggs, which I had set wrong for a second. And if I'm shipping out, it's all going to be dropped in this one spot. So this one spot still has, you know, over 2,000 tons of stuff on it. And it's only going to grow as we continue to ship stuff there. But we added 3 more bins so that we can ship different things down here. One of them's going to be for dirt, so we can automatically load our farm tiles. The other one's going to be for phosphorite, because we are going to plant these wart seeds so that we can use that cooling for basically free. There's really no reason not to do this if you have a setup like this, because you're going to be getting so much phosphorite. So we'll set those 2 things up. Also, we will eventually set something up to help mutate seeds with these, because we'll want to do that. So yeah, that'll be a thing at some point as well. Yeah, so shipping stuff out, anything that gets laid from these critters will be sent out as well. When they get sheared, we'll send it out. And then this room, they just kind of sit there and incubate with their glossy Drecklet eggs. We'll hook up a couple of incubators to get these things out a little bit quicker so that we can get plastic up. But yeah, here's our setup for water. So we just got that done. I'm waiting for them to build this side. We're still we're still sending in hydrogen as well. So I do have a small setup down here for hydrogen that has been created so that we can start sending that out. I'm just setting up little spots for wherever hydrogen is sitting and kind of vacuuming it out and sending it back up to that part of the base. Or, not part of the base. Why am I being so vague? The top of the Drecko chamber. The automation for this is we have a gas element sensor that's basically going to say, if this is not sitting in hydrogen, send me more hydrogen. So it'll just continuously get sent. By the way, I can just set these down to 1 so that these get taken care of more by the auto sweepers than they do by the duplicants. Why is this awaiting delivery if there's some right here? Maybe there's a duplicate on the way. Yeah, that's what I expected. Interesting that they can load it from down here. So yeah, we're just going to keep this spinning for a little while so we can get enough plastic up. In the meantime, also, we've gotten our steel started, or at least the components for it. So we should have a hilarious amount of eggshells. We have a lot of fossil that's already cooled down, so we can use that. So we can get our steel going here. So, sure. How many of these can we make? It's not 100. It's like 20, maybe? I'm trying to think of how much iron we actually have to go around. So there we go. It's probably actually a little bit more than that now that I'm thinking about this. You're never supposed to do math on a live broadcast, but here we go, making that mistake again. Alright, so we've got steel going, we've got plastic going, we have plenty of other materials, we're about to get more water, our ethanol has built up quite a bit. We're almost ready to take this volcano, we just need to wait for the other pieces of material that we have, but we could probably actually start digging this out a little bit early. So maybe I'll do that, because I don't really have a lot for my duplicants to do right now. So, sure. When I dig out this volcano, I'm going to leave 1 space. This is just to block the volcano from erupting. If you leave the space that's right in the middle, covered up with a tile, it should make it so that it does not erupt. So, yeah, we should be fine there. And then I'll just kind of build this out. The volcano tamer strategy for metal volcanoes anyway. Pretty straightforward. The bottom area is just going to be a big steam chamber. The top area is going to be a steam turbine and a pool of cooled liquid. So we'll get all that stuff set up and I'll kind of run through the setup. We'll do kind of a similar thing that we just did with the Dreckos. I'll kind of walk through the construction of it and whatnot. But we do need to give our duplicants some time to dig all this stuff out. Otherwise, we're just going to be sitting here staring at setup while my duplicants dig, and that's not very fun to do. So, let's not do that. Alright, we got our volcano opened up, except for the one spot that's going to block the volcano from erupting. You can see it's building up pressure right now, and oh, I think it just did, and nothing came out. So that's the idea here. We'll leave it that way until we're ready to get it all the way opened up. So if you've never taken a metal volcano before, or if you just want to see how we build this out, the idea here is we need water down in this bottom chamber. The water will eventually turn into steam, and that'll be kind of the vehicle that we use to keep everything relatively cooled down. I know it's steam, but steam and using steel to resist that heat from steam is better than, you know, thousands of degrees or whatever. When it comes out of the volcano, it's at 2226.9 C. I know that's 2000, but I like saying 2226. So it'll come out at a very high temperature, and a decent amount of it too. So the steam is basically going to absorb all that heat. Then we're going to build a steam turbine up here, but we don't have plastic yet. We're still waiting on our Dreckos to come through. So once those start producing plastic, and once we get enough steel and everything for everything that we want in here, which we might have now, we can put that together. So the steam turbine is going to take up roughly here. Then we're going to have a pool of ethanol right here that is going to be filled with, I guess the ethanol is not going to be filled with anything. This tank is going to be filled with ethanol. So something like this. So we could probably start building some of this out. So the wall that separates the steam turbine from the actual ethanol pool, we're just going to use metal tiles to separate the two of them. It's one of the cheapest ways to kind of keep something cool. And especially since we need this kind of cold pool of liquid here to cool down the metal that comes out, we will just kind of have it border the steam turbine. So we'll have that sitting there like that. So we will need a bunch of stuff for the actually filling this up. So we'll get a vent here for the ethanol. We'll run our lines up here in just a second. We will need in the bottom chamber a aqua tuner made out of steel, so we'll put that probably somewhere over here. Usually like it underneath the steam turbine, just because that's going to be a source of heat. Another big source of heat is going to be what comes out of the Cobalt volcano, obviously, and we'll want it to sit in this chamber for long enough to give as much heat as possible to the steam. But we do need to research a piece of tech that we don't have yet that will allow it to sit on these rails until it's time for it to be released up into the cold chamber of water. So that's this, the conveyor rail thermo sensor. Really just rolls right off the tongue. Or I guess conveys right off the tongue. So if we get that, we will just need a shipping setup in here. So we'll have like an auto sweeper that can grab pretty much everything that the volcano is going to drop. You can put it there like that. And then a conveyor loader, put it in there maybe like this. We're going to put down conveyor rails that are made out of wolframite just so they don't melt. So we're just going to do something like this, kind of loop it down through the bottom. I guess this is close enough. So we could do something like this. If we have a thermosensor on here, which actually, this isn't all going to quite fit the way that I thought it would. Cancel this and move it down one. There we go. So if we put a thermosensor right here, this will be basically be like, I need this thing to be sitting on the rail until it's cool enough to be allowed through and to be cooled off by our cold ethanol that we have up here. So the shipping setup's going to look kind of like this. I'll let my duplicants build this out and it'll make more sense once it's all together. The ethanol pool, again, just a liquid reservoir. We're going to put some polluted water in there. We'll connect it up the same way that we have it connected up down here, which is basically just some lines of pipes coming through. This is a little bit confusing to look at with that connected. Basically some lines of pipe coming through to kind of loop it through the ethanol and cool it down as much as it can before heading into the aqua tuner and being cooled down. So yeah, that's going to be the plan with this. Not going to worry about building all that out, but that's kind of the idea. So we'll also need some water for down here as well, and we need to put this on a hydro sensor just to make sure that we don't overfill it. If you overfill it, you run the risk of your volcano getting blocked and never erupting, and that's a big problem. So yeah, it kind of looks like a mess right now, but as my duplicants build this out, it'll make a lot more sense. And as we get plastic to build this steam turbine, then we should be good to go. Where are we with this? Still need a micro egg chambers. I know you've been missing that. Boy, do I love micro and egg chambers. Yay. All right, anyway, so yeah, we're getting there. More and more eggs are being laid by these Dreckos. So yeah, we're making progress, and we'll have this up here in just a little bit as I start to get all the chambers all filled up and stuff. Okay, we're most of the way built. We have all of our tanks and everything filled up with what they need to be filled up with. So there we go. We will unblock this here in just a second. The first thing is we have all of our water in here, so that water's all good to go. We have enough that it will absorb the heat and conduct everything decently, but also not block the volcano. So about 500 kilograms on the bottom here, dispersed among 4 tiles. A little bit over 100 per tile ought to be good. This starts getting blocked up at about 150. So that should be very good for us. So first, we can just go ahead and get rid of this. I'm not sending any more water in, so we can just go ahead and disconnect this. And we can destroy these pipes so that they're not in the way anymore. Then we need to set up our steam turbine, which we now have enough plastic for. You need to shear 2 Dreckos in order to get this many. So we do have 2 glossy Dreckos, and we have sheared both of them. The hydrogen's still kind of creeping in here, but the 2 of them just getting this started ought to help out. We will also need a little bit more for a high-pressure oxygen vent in here, or rather just a high-pressure gas vent, which we should have enough for this, because we have like 300 plastic. I don't know why this is saying we don't have it, but maybe it's because someone's carrying it or something. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, we'll get this other one up here, and we need to just send this up. I like to overfill this with oxygen just to help keep everything cool. So that is going to be what I like to do. You don't have to do it this way. There are ways you can just skimp quite a bit and just barely keep the steam turbine cooled, but just for the interest of not having to, you know, do too much with it, I'm just going to play it safe, fill it up like this, and we will open this up here in just a minute. The steam turbine needs to empty back down into the same chamber, so just kind of some pipes that run down here to do that. The rest of these, we can actually just get rid of this so that we can build the rest of these pipes out really quickly. This is filled out with some polluted water that we found out is a lot more efficient than the ethanol. So this is just filled up with a little bit. You don't need to fill it up all the way, but we'll just kind of set it like that. Now we can disconnect this from its source. So there we go. And the loop here is just going to be with a bunch of radiant pipe that is made out of aluminum. And the reason it's aluminum is because aluminum is one of the better conductors for metal pipes. So there we go. If it's ever over, like, I don't know, 10C or something like that, we're going to let the water through. It's going to go down into our aqua tuner and then back up into the tank. So just a simple loop here like we've done a couple times. You want to make sure to also remember that this could all get very hot in very small spots. So if there's anything in here that could melt, you're going to want to get rid of it, or just build it out of tungsten or wolframite. So kind of a simple way you can do this to at least help illustrate it a bit is all the light blue lines for the shipping lines are wolframite. The steel is a certain color, the tungsten's a certain color for certain buildings. So I just made sure that everything in here is not something that's going to melt. This vent is maybe a little bit at risk, so we could deconstruct that and we could change this over to tungsten really quickly. The last things we need, though, is when we're shipping out the metal, we need to make sure that the metal is of a temperature that we're happy with before it goes into the next room. So like I mentioned, we got the research for the conveyor rail thermosensor. Going to build that out of tungsten. And we need another one up here to make sure that we're not actually shipping it out of this area until it's cool enough to be dispersed into our base. So for now, I'm just going to empty everything out from a conveyor chute here, but we do need to connect it up. Might as well just use tungsten in both places. We're just going to go ahead and connect it up here, and then we'll set those. We'll close this up, and we'll turn everything on here in just a minute. We do need a power wire. That is one thing I'm forgetting. So we're going to need to run... I guess we could run it in from over here and connect it up. There we go. That should be fine. And we will connect it up like this and get everything on there. So yeah, once we get the extra stuff built, we will set those things. We'll unblock the Cobalt volcano. Actually, we could probably just do it here really quickly because they're working pretty fast. So I think we should be good. This we could probably just undo right now. So let's go ahead and do that. And then we will get the other 2 tiles built. We'll get the rest of the thermosensors built. The aqua tuner is now running. By the way, I'm filling up the water in here with the hot water that we have from our water geyser. Since we want this to turn into steam anyway, we might as well use the hotter water rather than any colder water that we have. So that's definitely a thing that we need. You'll also want to make sure to sweep everything out of here too. So I did set this for sweep. It's just one of our random bins that we have that's going to be for shipping stuff back to the center of our base. But for this portion of it, let me delete this wire. For this portion of it, we can just set one of them to accept sweeping because we want to clear everything out of these rooms. Considering one of the worst things that can happen is if you have these thermosensors and you get a piece of abyssalite stuck on here, this can stop the whole setup for a long time if you don't notice. Hurry up, son, get out of there. Okay, so the lines for shipping are going to come, whoops, out of this. Actually, let me get used to pressing this button. It's going to come out of this and kind of snake along the line here until it reaches this spot. Once it's at this spot, I need to make sure it's the right temperature, or at least a good enough temperature before I let it ship through here, because I don't really want to be letting any, like, 1,000-degree metal into this pool. I'd rather wait until it's as minimal as possible, leaving this area so that it's put all of its energy into the steam if possible. So, the temperature that I'm going to wait for it to be below is, let's say, 170, no, maybe like 180. We can always mess around with those temperatures later. And then I don't want it to leave this pool until it's below, like, I don't know, 30. Sure. So if we do that, we can start closing things off. This is ready to close off, so I'll do that. And then we will start allowing everything to be shipped out. Make sure there's no abyssalite in here real quick. I don't think so. I think we should be fine. I think it's just granite and something else, whatever this is. What are you? Obsidian. Okay. So yeah, this will eventually boil the water. The volcano will eventually erupt. The steam turbine will turn on once we actually have steam. This stuff is being let through because it is definitely below 180, but it won't make it past this until this can cool down. So this is going to cool down relatively quickly. It's not going to be too bad. Let me turn this off so we're not just venting oxygen for no reason. So it shouldn't be too awful. Let me get the rest of this stuff set up here really quickly, and once this boils and we can see metal kind of sitting on these 2 little thermosensors, we'll come back and we'll see how everything has been working. So in the meantime, an eruption will happen. It'll turn this all to steam, all that fun stuff. And then, yeah, we'll see the whole setup running. Something I forgot in the last section that I've been holding on to for a bit is we have a new achievement earned. So, yay! This one is for making 4 nature reserves. We could have also done this a lot earlier, and this is kind of a weird achievement because doing this is not very difficult as you get out on the map. So, I actually have 5, but one of them that I set up earlier is just something silly like this. If you just find a small space that has 4 plants, you could just wall it off, or sorry, door it off, I guess, and put a park sign there and call it good. Now I don't need this anymore since we have the achievement, so yeah. But I do have another one here just from all the defunct pimp ranches over time. So we do have 4 in the main anyway. But my duplicates should be getting that bonus pretty much around the clock from the nature reserves, so yeah. Anyway, that achievement is done. So there you go. We're almost done with this video as well. Just need to wait for the volcano to erupt and get more metal out of it. So we'll get there. Alright, our setup is entirely up and running. And the last thing that needs to happen is we need the cooled metal to actually come out of the chute that we have here. So we're almost there, but just for the sake of the video, let's kind of fudge these numbers a little bit. We're waiting for it to go below 30, but just for the first round, I'll just kind of set it up to, I don't know, below 40 ought to be fine, so we can see the whole system working. And there you go. These are the very first pieces of free metal that we got from the volcano. And now that it's entirely flowing, you can see that once it hits these 2 spots, all the metal will stop and cool down before we can really use it. So I want it to put as much of its energy as possible into the steam. Then once it gets below, like, I don't know, I set it to 160, but You can kind of mess around with these numbers a little bit depending on the type of volcano and how much comes out of it. So 180 to 160, somewhere in there is probably fine. But now we're getting free cobalt. So there we go. We can start getting on to other bigger projects now that we have a free source of this. Plus a little bit more energy, by the way. Definitely a good side effect from this. So what I think we're going to do next is we are probably going to be getting up into the space biome so that we can start sending rockets out to do our bidding. So we will set up some infrastructure for that. Probably get out there and start heading out to some other asteroids next time. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. I'm just going to slowly scroll up through the whole base for some reason. I don't know why I'm doing that. Okay, I'll stop. Oh, the other thing that we definitely got done here was getting this Dreckos set up. Eventually, the hydrogen will be on these tiles as well, so kind of infiltrating all in here. So that should be good to go. So we'll get that, and yeah, space biome I'm pretty sure is next, but you know, we'll have to see if anything else comes up. Anyway, I'll get the next episode out as soon as I can. Thanks for watching. Hope I didn't scare you too badly if you were trying to go to sleep or something, but yeah. Anyway, I'll see you next time.